What's up guys, my name is Elias and in today's Substack tutorial I'm going to show you everything needed to successfully set up your newsletter on Substack. Now Substack is one of the go-to places for creating newsletters because actually one of their key features is that they will automatically repurpose and basically transfer all of your newsletter posts to actual blog articles on your website. Now more on that later on. To get started, simply just head over to Substack and create your free account. Once you have successfully registered your Substack account, you are going to be redirected onto this page where you can then see all sorts of posts that are being posted on Substack from other content creators essentially. Now we don't really need to look at this feed, rather I'm going to show you how to set up your own Substack website. Before we are going to do that, head over to the profile right here on the bottom left and then click on edit profile. Right here you can actually set up all sorts of different settings for your profile. I would recommend you to set a name, handle, bio accordingly to what kind of niche you are going to go for. And you can actually also upload your logo, which I would highly recommend you to. Additionally, you could just upload your face and so on. And then this is actually highly important. Please make sure to actually also add all of your social links. Like this, basically you can just organically get more followers on your social platforms simply by just linking all of your different accounts on Substack, and this is then going to be visible for all of your readers. You can just leave all of the other stuff at the default. We aren't going to need to change this right here. Then to actually get started setting up our website, we will have to head over to this dashboard button on the top right. Just click on it. And now you are going to be redirected onto the actual Substack dashboard. So right here on the homepage, you are going to see an overview of all of the different subscribers, followers, 30-day views, and so on. You can actually also see your latest posts, recent posts, and so on. To get started, we are actually going to head over to the settings right here. Now, basically right here, we can then set all of the different basic settings that are going to be visible on your blog, on your newsletter. For example, as for the publication name, this by default is going to be Elias Substack in my case. However, you can actually also change this. For example, you can change this to Elias Newsletter or Elias, let's actually change this to blog, okay? Then we can actually also change the description to my personal blog, learn all about marketing, for example. Then I'm going to save this. As for the actual site design, you can customize this right here. This is going to be how this is going to look by the default. I would recommend you to actually head over to brandings right here. Make sure to upload your own custom square logo and make sure to actually also upload a watermark. This is basically just a stylized image version of your publication name that will then show up in the navigation bar. But let me actually demonstrate you this. I will quickly upload my watermark. So as you can see, I just uploaded a random logo of mine and now this is going to be visible. As for the colors, by default you are going to have your web background set as white. You can actually basically change this if you want to. However, I would actually recommend you to also change the accent color right here. This, in my opinion, is actually really important because most of the time you are obviously going to have different kind of brand colors depending on what niche you are in, and therefore it actually does make a lot of sense to customize this accent color depending on what niche you are in. In my case, I'm going to change this to something, I guess something purplish, and then we can also change the font, so basically just the typography of a website. As for the heading font, you are going to have 5 different options. I'm going to change this to Heavy Sans, and as for the body font, by default, this is going to have this kind of serif type font, which I personally don't really like. However, this is obviously going to come down to your own preferences. Some people do like this, but in my case, I'm actually going to change this to Sans. And now I'm going to save this right here. We can then also change the homepage. As for the header style, we are going to have a lot of different default settings, which we can basically default templates, which we can use. Now, in my case, I'm just going to select future right here, and I'm then going to select show top posts. As for the actual post layout, you can select list as well as grid as well as groups. In my case, I'm going to select grid right here. And as you can see, now this got updated accordingly. We can then actually also check advanced layouts. But right here, we can then actually also set up a customly made basically section of our website. In my case, I'm not really going to do this right now as it isn't really necessary in the beginning, so I'm just going to untick this. Now, one thing which is also important to keep in mind is that you can actually also change the view of your website by using this button right here. It is always important to actually customize your website so that the mobile page is going to look nice. So keep that in mind when actually setting up your website. You can then actually also change up basically the site that you are going to edit. For example, this would be the welcome page, and then this right here would be the actual post page right here. Perfect. For now, we are done with this. I'm just going to click on save right here, and we can now actually click on done, and we are basically done with the site design. As for the language, by default this is set as English. You are going to have some other options, and we can actually also edit the about page right here. So for example, this is going to be the default about page. However, I would obviously recommend you to update this depending on what you are actually going to do on Substack, what your newsletter is about, what you do plan to post on your blog, for example. So I'm not going to dive into that, but make sure to actually update this accordingly. I'm going to actually opt out of this. As for the logo, once again, would recommend you to add this, and you can actually also directly import emails if you already have emails from other email marketing providers. You can actually automatically add your email subscribers from other platforms, either by typing in the emails right here, separated by commas, or additionally, you can add your emails by uploading a spreadsheet, a CSV file. This kind of is the industry norm for all email marketing providers. So you are going to have that option on other email providers if you do want to export your email addresses. Either way, I'm going to opt out of this right now. If you do plan to create a paid Substack, which you can actually charge money for your posts. Then I would recommend you to right here actually connect your Stripe account so that you can actually take payments on Substack, obviously. And then you can actually also allow readers to pledge subscriptions. Now, when this is turned on, basically this is going to allow your blog readers to pay for future paid subscriptions and so on. You can then also set the pledge amounts. Either way, pretty self-explanatory. As for the branding, I would recommend you to also set this up accordingly. You can, for example, set your welcome email right here. So for now, this would be just this default welcome email. However, you will have to update this. You will have to write, okay, this is what you're going to see in my newsletter. This is what we are going to talk about. You can then actually also, for example, add a text like, what do you want to see? Let me know by replying to this email. And this in general is a great way of actually getting customer feedback. However, additionally, if your readers are actually going to apply to your email, this is actually also significantly going to improve the actual email deliverability rate of your newsletter, which on the long run can actually make quite a difference, because if your readers are going to reply to your email providers like Gmail, Outlook and so on are going to know that your email is valuable, and they aren't actually going to think that your newsletter is spam. Either way, for now, I'm going to opt out of this, and you will then also have to set the welcome email to imported subscribers. You can actually set up recommendation blurbs on the welcome page and so on. You can then go ahead and even further customize your website by managing and editing the homepage links right here, enabling colored links, for example, and so on. Now, generally, I'm not going to go over this right now as it is going to be pretty self-explanatory. I would just recommend you that when you are going to actually sign up for Substack, make sure to once go through the settings from top to bottom. You are only going to have to do this once. It is going to take a while, but once you've set up everything accordingly, you will basically don't have to touch this for a while. However, we aren't going to go over everything right now. There are, however, two things which I want to mention right now. First of all, referral program. Now, Substack is actually going to allow you to set up a referral program, and this is basically going to be a way of getting newsletter readers for completely free. And in return, basically the most common way of doing this, in return, You can then give out different kind of treaties, different kind of incentivizes for the actual people that are going to refer people onto your newsletter. For example, for the tier 1 reward, this is going to be after, let's say, 5 referrals, they are going to get a free copy of an ebook, for example. And we can then say after, let's say, 20 referrals, they're going to get a minus 10% discount code, and so on. And this just is a great way of actually getting new subscribers onto your Substack newsletter for completely free. Additionally, if you do want to set up your own custom domain, you can also do that right here. Basically, to do this, just click on Add Custom Domain. And you will then actually have to pay a one-time fee of $50 to actually use a custom professional domain. Now, if you don't already have a domain, you can actually use Hostinger for this. They are one of the cheapest domain hosting options out there. I will leave you a link for it down below. Either way, we are for now done with the settings. Let me now head over to posts right here and let me show you how to add a new post. So in my case, I'm just going to click right here. I'm going to select a normal text post. However, you can actually also add audio, video, or a thread. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. As you can see right here, we are going to get a pop-up actually. I'm just going to click on Add Referral button. And now we are going to have this basically call to action for people to basically refer other people onto our blog, onto our newsletter. So we will then have to actually set a title. I'm just going to name this title test, and we can then actually also set a subtitle right here. Obviously these two should be something that is going to get people to actually open up the email, to click on the blog, and so on. Alright, to actually add elements onto your post, you can just put it in right here. You can additionally also make your text bold, italic, strike through. You can add links. You can actually also add images. You can, for example, easily add stock images onto this. So let's use this one right here. Now we are going to have this available for just within a few clicks. You can then add quotes right here. You can add basically this block thing right here, and you will then also be able to instantly add buttons onto this. You can add a subscribe button, and this will actually automatically be updated according to the basically accent color that we have set beforehand. Additionally, you can also add a custom button right here, simply by just adding in the text as well as the URL, and then you are going to actually have a custom button. Under more, you can then actually also insert dividers, financial charts, a footnote, as well as a latex, poetry, and poll. Adding a poll is actually a great way of getting to know what your readers actually do want to see next. For example, you can then say, okay, what do you want to learn more about? And then you can actually present them with different kind of choices. You can set the length and so on. So to now actually publish this, click on continue, and now we can set that this post should be either for everyone, or if you do have paid subscriptions enabled, you can also select that right here. We can then also allow the comments from anyone, and as for the tags, we can then set that right here. We can, for example, say, okay, tag. We can then add a new tag called marketing. And this is basically just for organizing purposes. As for the delivery, we can then send this instantly via email and the Substack app. Additionally, we can actually also schedule or post. I will just send this to everyone right now, and I'm now going to publish this. So as you can see, the post is now published. We can now copy the link, and when actually opening this up on a new page, you can see that this is how this is going to look like. Obviously, we did just put in example text, so this doesn't really look that nice by default. However, we can now actually head over to our normal homepage. This is going to look something like this. We can then have this most popular option. We are going to see the blog post that we have just created right here. And that's basically how the homepage is going to work. You are then actually also going to see your stats. You are going to see how many total traffic and top sources you have. You are actually going to also have the option to add recommendations onto your Substack. So basically you can recommend other newsletter writers on Substack, and they can then actually recommend you back, and this kind of is a way of actually growing your newsletter together. Now, I do really like Substack. don't get me wrong. However, in my opinion, the superior email newsletter tool is definitely going to be Beehive. Beehive is going to offer you a lot more different ways of actually growing your newsletter and monetizing your newsletter. So if you do want to know more about Beehive, you can watch the video on screen right now, which is going to be a complete beginner tutorial.